Hello everyone, it's your favorite talking eggplant. Today we're going to be playing some more Blackberry Honey, where I get bullied by everyone around me. Lorena glowered or glowered. Her cheeks flustered. The parlor maid was always cool, calm, and irritatingly aloof. She was as haughty as a cat and constantly seemed to look down on others, but she always accompanied her blatant disregard with a small smile. I like her earrings match her eyeballs, her eyes. Lorena never felt quite herself when she was in the company of this unsettling woman. Her gaze made Lorena tremble. It was almost as if everything within Lorena had been misaligned by an inch or so her skeleton no longer fit neatly inside her body. What an interesting description. Oops. Did I skip something? Nope. Truthfully, Lorena had been hoping to avoid the parlor maid during this sad state of affairs. In a more perfect world, she would have retreated to the kitchen, cleaned the blood off her hands beneath the sink, and pulled out the offending thorn with minimal fuss. No fanfare at all. That was what she wanted. But life was never that simple, as we see. The parlor maid had been in the kitchen already, and Lorena had only realized when she had crossed the threshold and their eyes had met, and it had been too late to turn around and leave. Why was the parlor maid in the kitchen and not in the parlor, as her title suggested, was a mystery. It appeared, though, Lorena had no intentions of asking her, that she was in the middle of preparing various tea things, arranging several willow-patterned teacups and a matching teapot on a tea tray. Sounds fire. Was Lainey Leonard having guests then? It seemed as good a guess as any. Say, what do you want? I was wondering if I could take a look at your hand. And why do you want to do that? Oh dear, so suspicious. I just wanted to know if I could be of any assistance. You look like you are in pain. I don't know why you care. Dude, Lorena looks so mad. I'm just trying to show an interest. There's nothing terrible about that, is there? Do you think I'm terrible? Lorena swallowed. She hadn't expected the sudden inquiry. Gulp. Why was the parlor maid trying to put words into her mouth? I never said that. Then stop being foolish and let me help you. You cannot expect to perform satisfactory first aid on yourself, not with one hand. It can't be done. But you have work to do. I always have work to do. It can wait. But Lainey Leonard won't mind if her tea is a minute or two late, I'm sure. She'd mind if I was the one who had to deliver it. But you are not, and I am, and it is different. That's right, it is different, isn't it? Now don't look so down. I'm just stating the facts. There's no need to sulk. I'm not sulking. Not anymore. You're angry with me, aren't you? Okay, I get the idea that maybe she just likes to tease her. Like, Victorian rage bait right here. Lorena opened her mouth, closed it again. Her face turned even redder. The parlor maid laughed. You're so easy to read, Lori. She has a nickname for us? What? Lori? That's right, Lori. Nobody calls me that. I just did. I wish you wouldn't. We can't all have what we want. I'm aware of that, thank you very much. Lorena frowned. Girl, you're always frowning, bro. Don't even lie. So the parlor maid knew her name. though she insisted on using a silly nickname for whatever reason, but Lorena didn't know hers. Oh, that's right. Maybe she should have done, considering she had been at Blythe for 4 months, but the parlor maid's name was strange and foreign. It was difficult to get her tongue around. Why would she need to know her name anyway? They weren't friends. Lorena wanted nothing to do with the insufferable woman. But all the same... What are you doing? Taking care of you, like I said I would. But why? Because I don't believe you can take care of yourself. Bro. She thinks we're like a helpless baby. I mean, she even gets mad at that. That's quite an assumption to make. And not a very polite one either. Why should I worry about being polite? I'm polite enough to Lenny Leonard, though I don't think she deserves it. Oh, brutally honest. One gets awfully tired of minding their manners all the time. You agree with me, don't you? That's besides the point. So you do agree. How lovely. Now hold still. The parlor maid's hands were smooth and soft, and her fingers were slender. They were the hands of an artisan. Okay, quick question. Why are they looking at me? Or what are they even looking at? I know it's for like the... I don't know. Why are they looking at us? Now those hands were holding Lorena's. Lorena felt herself shivering, and not just because of the pain. Her right hand was still bleeding, though gently. The bloodshed was so slow and lackadaisical, it was almost relaxing. I love how out of all the words that I'm having a little struggle pronouncing, lackadaisical is just nothing. Don't even have to think about pronouncing that. Now what is this? The parlor maid's lips were inches away from the shell of Lorena's ear. Her breath tickled. Nuh-uh. That's not what's happening in the picture. Is this a thorn? Lorena nodded dumbly. How did you do this to yourself? Did you fall into a rose bush? It wasn't intentional. Then you were pushed? You could say that, I suppose. Was this one of Lady Constance's whims? Yes, she wanted me to pick some roses for her, but I got hurt in the process. Evidently. The parlor maid clicked her tongue against the roof of her mouth. Lady Constance doesn't care for flowers, you know. She's an exceedingly careless girl. I'm aware of that. Then why did you go along with her selfish request? She was only trying to make you miserable, and it seems she was successful. Look at what has happened to you. What you let happen. I beg your pardon? You heard what I said? I did, but you couldn't have meant it. Why not? I didn't let this happen. I didn't want to cut myself, You just what? Lorena opened and closed her mouth, but no words came out. When she needed them the most, they abandoned her. Me too, girl. I can't even speak normal words half the time anymore. Ah, I see. No response is forthcoming. How disappointing. Anyway, let me attend to this. I never asked you to. But I will, because if I don't, it will get infected and you will get sick. She's very blunt with the way she speaks. Fine, go ahead. This will probably hurt. I hope you're prepared. Do your worst. Little banter? Oh, was that a challenge? Yeah, just what I said. Take it however you want. I believe that is your role, my little Lori. What do you... Lorena jumped. A sharp burst of pain flared up in her afflicted finger as though a match had been struck against it. What did you do to me? Then all of a sudden, there we go. That should take care of it. The parlor What? The parlor maid pulled the thorn free. Blood began to trickle from the cut. It looked brighter than ever, so red it was almost dizzying. Almost. Don't flatter yourself. Now let's get you cleaned up. Lorena followed, obedient as a child, as the parlor maid led her to the ceramic sink. There, she turned on the tap and a steady stream of water began to flow. This might sting a bit, but you can handle it, can't you? I thought so. You're a big girl. Bro. The parlor maid's small smile did not abate, even as Lorena's fingers spasmed beneath the water. Bro, it's not... Did you, stab the thorn through your finger? Why are you tweaking? Lorena glared at her beneath her eyelashes. Her shoulders trembled. What, are you giving her side-eye? You. Yes, what is it, dear? She speaks like she's older than me, too. Or us. Lorena gritted her teeth together. The words bubbling up within her chest were treacherous. She would never have been able to say such things to Lady Constance or Lady Leonard for fear of losing her job, but she could say them to the parlor maid. The parlor maid was the only one Lorena could take her anger out on. I don't like you at all. Oh dear, how sad. The parlor maid sighed. How could you say that when I'm trying to help you? You don't want to help, you just want to gloat. I think you're misunderstanding something, my little Lori. What? Unlike you, I don't do things unless I want to. But you can't live life like that. You're supposed to be a maid. Answering the whims of others is your purpose in life. I will decide my own purpose in life, thank you. Now, hold still. Lorena's blood continued to splash against the white ceramic basin of the sink. The water soon washed it away, muting the color until no more trace remained. Well, that settles that. The parlor maid took a neat step backwards, running a hand through her dark hair. The action seemed carefully calculated, somehow, and it made Lorena feel uneasy. Everything about the older woman was unsettling. Okay, so I was right, she is older. By how much? Dunno. And don't worry, there's no need to thank me. I wasn't going to, and I still can't stand you. Girl, be so for real. I know that only too well. If you cared for me in any way, you might have tried to remember my name. Oh well. Bro, she likes you. For future reference, it's Taohua? Taohua. Not that you care. I hope I'm pronouncing that right. The 2nd of April, Saturday. I could have, recorded the last episode up until that point. I didn't know I was so close to reaching, another day. Several weeks passed, and Lorena had been trying to avoid Lady Constance as much as possible. Lady Constance has always been petty and vindictive, but she seemed even more so as of late, and Lorena didn't want to get caught up in her silly temper tantrums. And Lady Constance wasn't the only one Lorena had been skirting around. There's also the parlor maid, Taohua. Her name was Taohua. I hope I'm pronouncing that correct. Not that Lorena wanted to remember it. She'd far rather forget her. Lorena didn't want to remember how Tahoa's fingers had trailed gently across her palm, or the soft whisper of her voice, or the strangely intoxicating scent of orange peels and bergamot that clung to her skin and hair. Dude, I love me some Lady Grey, I'm not gonna lie. And she certainly didn't want to remember her withering stare or derisive tone. I'm learning so many words. Derisive? Look what has happened to you. What you let happen. It's because you don't stand up for yourself. That's what I'm assuming she's trying to get at. How stuck up, like you're so perfect. Lorena grit her teeth together so hard the enamel threatened to crack and turned over in her bed. The springs of her mattress creaked. Ugh. The icy air nipped Lorena's fingers and toes, making them twitch. As per usual, her blanket offered no warmth. Just start stealing potato sacks. Oh, Andermatt. Could it really be? Lottie was curled on her side, arms wrapped around her pillow. Her long, flaxen hair split across her bed. Some of it trailed onto the floorboards, Rapunzel-like. Okay. She was dreaming about the Alps again. She was always dreaming about the Alps. I mean, I would too. At least some things never changed. Lorena watched her, picking out Lottie's delicate features in the dark. Her pale eyelashes, her snub nose, her pursed lips, her long, long hair. Lorena could imagine the children of Andermatt brushing Lottie's hair for her, then threading it through with flowers, orchids, violets, and delicate purple primulas, like something from a fairy tale. Lot really did look like a princess. The other maids, meanwhile, were slightly less flattering in their slumber. Rude. Pauline snored. Isobel shifted, perpetually restless. Effie had a tendency to lay so silent and still, like some kind of wax effigy. Lorena always feared that she had died. Ada, meanwhile. The young maid had weak lungs, and her soft, gentle snores were cracked and hissy. Bro. Her breathing was labored during the day, but it was even worse at night. She sounded less like a young girl than an old man. Sounds like she needs to go to the doctor. Lorena often felt sorry for Ada. Walking up a single flight of stairs was often enough to make her double over, gasping for air that her lungs seemed determined to reject. Did she have asthma? They probably don't even, know that asthma's like a thing in this time. It could always be worse, Lorena mused. She could be Ada. At least she wasn't Ada. Okay, now don't go and make Ada seem like the bottom of the barrel. Like, poor girl just has a condition, you know? Tahua didn't sleep in the small, draughty attic room, which was termed the virgin quarters by the unpleasantly snickering footmen. That's pretty cringe and suspicious. Tahua was unique, worlds apart from the plain, boring English maids of Bly, or European in Lottie's case. Tahua's skin was a touch darker, her irises strikingly green, and her hair was black and silky. A rare flower surrounded by weeds. Girl. She was too special to mix with the other maids, too important to befriend them, too aloof to even try. Ah, Mama, Papa, Daisy too. I missed you so. Tahua was graceful and composed, while Lorena was awkward and flustered easily. Lorena couldn't imagine Tahua ever allowing Lady Constance to boss her around. But that didn't mean she could treat Lorena so poorly. Tahua had handled Lorena carefully, like she was some kind of precise instrument, yet she had insulted her at the same time. It was confusing. Andermatt, my Andermatt, it has been years, and yet... What kind of name was Tahua anyway? Lorena had never heard of it before. She couldn't understand it either. If she couldn't understand the name, how on earth could she ever hope to understand the woman attached to it? Lorena didn't want to understand her. She hated her. Didn't she? I don't know, do you? Lorena bit down on her lower lip and turned over once more. She didn't care how tangled her hair got. She turned again and again, but no matter how she tried, she couldn't get comfortable. Just when her eyelids were starting to feel heavy, and she could almost imagine herself slipping into the land of slumber. I never wish to leave. I cannot. This is where I belong. Lottie chose that moment to declare, rather loudly for a sleep talker, her continued allegiance to her beloved Andermatt. Poor girl is just homesick. Lorena's left eye twitched. But I can understand, like, trying to fall asleep and then when you finally do, something just wakes you up. I understand the pain. Fine, fine, fine! I'm getting up. Oh, Andermatt. Shut up. I do not endorse this behavior. Lorena sat up, her hair a disheveled mess, and glared at Lysolot. Even in her sleep, Lottie looked perfect. Her face glowed with health, and her flaxen hair was full of life. Maybe it was because of Andermatt. If Lorena had been born amongst the mountains, and had spent her youth picking flowers and milking cows, perhaps her cheeks would have permanent roses too. Then again, maybe not. You're all beautiful in your own way. Lorena, don't put others down. Don't even put yourself down, bro. Lorena sighed and massaged her temples with her fingers. She needed to talk to somebody, but who? Everyone was asleep. Then in that case, a letter. Yes, that seemed like a sensible solution. Lorena missed her mother. She missed her a good deal. She missed her sisters too, Ethel and Mary. She even missed little Alice, who had only been 2 years old at the last time Lorena had set eyes on her. She would be 5 now. What? Wait. Okay, if the last time you saw Alice was when she was 2, that would have been like before she left to come to Bly. And now she's 5, so that's like 3 years. Okay, either I'm stupid or something's just not adding up. Time really did fly. 'Cause we went the 3rd of April Sunday. 'Cause we went from 4 months to a couple weeks later to now years? And one of you say unto them, depart in peace, and ye be warmed and filled. Warmed, was it? To Lorena's frigid, frostbitten ears, that was a pleasant idea indeed. The maid shifted on the pew, her fingers linked together on her lap. The wooden pew was icy and seemed to bleed all the heat from her thighs, though they were pressed together. It was miraculous, really, that St. Mary's Church was so bitterly cold all the year round, despite the large amount of human bodies crammed into it. But perhaps the culprit behind the pervading chill was not the weather, after all. It was the venerable vicar, one Reverend Marner. When he surveyed his congregation, peering at them with the intensity of one trying to discern the oxygen within the air, all heat seemed to evaporate from the room. His eyes were such a striking pale blue, Lorena was half tempted to believe they contained within them shards of ice. Kind of reminds me of like President Snow. Notwithstanding ye give them not those things which are needful to the body, what doth it profit? What doth life? What doth it profit indeed? Indeed? Lorena wasn't entirely sure, but Reverend Marner made this rhetorical question seem of the utmost concern. I don't even understand what he's talking about. The Reverend paused once more. He was fond of inserting large pauses into his sermons, to let his eyes sweep amongst the assembled men and women in their Sunday finest. Not that Lorena, being a maid, had any Sunday finest. I was gonna comment if she even was wearing anything because she's still in her outfit. Her maid's outfit, supplied by the Leonards, was the most sophisticated item of clothing she owned. Consequently, that was what she was wearing. Lorena knew some of the more esteemed men and women of the St. Mary's parish derided her for her choice in wardrobe, but she had little else to choose from. Even so in faith, if it hath not works, is dead, being alone. But by goodness, the church really was cold. Lorena wasn't the only one attempting, and failing, to cease her squirming. Ada was in a similar predicament. She was shifting here and there to encourage the circulation in her legs. The maids of Bly sat together during the service. Ada was on one side of Lorena, Pauline on the other. Isobel, Lottie, and the inscrutable Effie made up the rest of Bly's pretty maids. As might be expected, they were all sitting in a row. Not that Pauline was particularly pretty. She'd always reminded Lorena of a horse. Horses are beautiful. Why are you... Well, okay. Horses are beautiful, so actually horses... You're actually saying Pauline's like a beautiful person, you know? Okay. Anyone... You remember that, silly little saying people used to say in, elementary? It was like, oh, you call me a bitch? Well, bitch means dog. Dogs bark. Bark grows on trees. Trees are part of nature. Or trees are beautiful, so you just call me beautiful, thanks. The whole, roundabout way. Oh, so you called me a horse? Well, horses are beautiful, so thanks. I couldn't come up with anything, but that's what that reminded me of. A man may say, thou hast faith, and I have works. Lady Leonard and Lady Constance were also in attendance, though they weren't seated with the maids. The maids of Bly were relegated to pews near the back of the church, while the upper echelons of society were seated at the front. Why do I feel like that, the family, the noble family wouldn't be going to church with, their maids, let alone, non-noble people? I don't know. Should the apocalypse truly occur, Lorena had no doubts the rich and beautiful would be ushered up to the pearly gates first. If only you could see the world today. That was just how things seemed to work. Shew me thy faith without thy works, and I will shew thee my faith by my works. Is he supposed to be saying show? Am I butchering that? But there was one servant of the Leonard household who was conspicuously absent. Taohua. Though Bly's other servants, all 23 of them, from the cook to the valet to the coachman, attended the Sunday service religiously, Taohua had never once seen fit to make an entrance. Lorena doubted whether that woman had placed so much as a single toe over the threshold of St. Mary's before, but she was not particularly distraught over her absence. It made it easier to focus. Whenever Taohua was around, Lorena's heart started to flutter, her cheeks flushed. She found herself feeling quite unlike her usual self. Ooh. The letter residing in her pocket, folded neatly and placed within the confines of a brown envelope, was proof enough of that. Thou believest that there is one God. Thou dost well. The devils also believe and tremble. Lorena herself started to tremble. That woman was no Christian. One merely had to look at her to gauge that much. Her peculiar skin. What does that mean? Her peculiar eyes. Her long, black hair. Is she the only person here with black hair that I've just noticed? There is something decidedly unsettling about that woman. even more so than the tone of Reverend Warner's voice. But for whatever reason, Lorena couldn't stop thinking about her. I am still not used to the church services of you English. Was it much different in Andermatt? Well, Lottie pondered, tapping one finger against her lower lid. It was more or less the same, I suppose, but I rather miss hearing stories about Saint Verna, or Verena. Who is he? He? Oh my, I see you English are not familiar with the Saint Verena after all. I'm sorry, I haven't heard of them. It doesn't ring a bell. Okay, I'm actually gonna stop that right here for today. Part 3 will be soon. If you decided to watch it this far, thank you. And I will see you guys in the next video. Bye!